A Russian attempt to storm Ukrainian positions from two directions, a frontal assault by armored columns, and an attempt to land in the flank on rubber boats. This attempt at landing completely failed, as did the frontal assault, in which most of the combat vehicles were knocked out in stages. The enemy moved out simultaneously to disorient and disperse Ukrainian defense, but the defenders were ready for everything. Video by the 46th Separate Airmobile Brigade. It's astonishing to see that despite all the lessons from the war's early stages, Russian forces are once again reverting to outdated tactics, most notably their infamous attacks in long, exposed columns. This was a hallmark of their initial invasion, which led to disastrous results due to their vulnerability to ambushes, drones, and targeted strikes. The fact that they are repeating this strategy suggests a failure to adapt and learn from past mistakes, exposing not only a lack of tactical evolution, but also deep-rooted issues in command and strategy. These tactics come at an incredible human cost. Columns of armor and troops moving without proper support become easy targets for Ukrainian artillery, drones, and precision-guided munitions. The losses Russia is enduring as they continue with these primitive strategies are staggering. No modern army could sustain such continuous, heavy casualties and remain effective. Yet the Russian approach seems rooted in sheer numbers, a disregard for human life, and a quantity over quality mindset. For most professional militaries, these levels of loss would lead to a complete operational collapse, as soldiers' morale would break and logistics would be unsustainable. But the Russian forces, driven by a historically entrenched mentality of expendable soldiers and brute force, push on. This barbaric, outdated approach to warfare highlights not just their willingness to sacrifice thousands for minimal gains, but also the primitive and rigid nature of their military doctrine. It's a grim reminder that while the world moves towards smarter, more precise warfare, Russia's tactics remain rooted in a brutal past, where human life is secondary to territorial ambition. The 33rd Mechanized Brigade fought back to a massive Russian attack. Russian forces were greeted with a rain of shells, bombs, and drone strikes. In the village, just meters away, a Leopard 2 A4 worked on Russian positions. According to the brigade, 2 tanks and 6 armored vehicles were destroyed, and 29 Russians were killed, with 19 more wounded. Once again, we witness the haunting sight of Russian columns snaking across the landscape, an echo of the early chaotic days of the invasion. It's almost surreal that after all the losses and lessons, the Russian military reverts to the same strategies that led to their initial failures. Rows of tanks and armored vehicles, lined up with little support or cover, have become a tragic symbol of the cost of stubborn, inflexible command. The emotional toll of seeing these relentless attacks is heavy, knowing that each column represents hundreds of young soldiers pushed forward without a thought for their safety. The bravery of those on the front lines contrasts starkly with the cold, detached decisions of commanders who send them into near-certain devastation. The result is inevitable. Columns shattered by Ukrainian precision strikes, bodies and burning wreckage marking the path of destruction. Russian propagandists. Trump was the first to show us and the world how to deal with diplomatic property by seizing our diplomatic mission in San Francisco. He imposed what Lindsey Graham called sanctions from hell. They keep repeating, Trump is not our friend.
If we recall Trump's timeline, the fact is that Obama, perhaps quietly, was supplying weapons to Ukraine, but the first one, the person who officially announced lethal weapon supplies was Trump. Of course. Trump is the one who, on August 2nd, 2017, initiated legislation passed by his administration to counter opponents. America through sanctions, where we were included. Trump was the first to show us and the whole world how to deal with diplomatic property by seizing our diplomatic mission in San Francisco. In other words, if anyone is still thinking about whether Trump will...
Yeah, and impose sanctions. Basically what Lindsey Graham called the sanctions alley.
The Norwegian Conservative Party calls for an increase in military aid to Ukraine by $2.7 billion in 2025. Representatives of the party told about this to the Aftenposten newspaper. The war is now in a decisive phase. It can be won or lost. And it is in the interest of our own security to prevent the fall of Ukraine, says Ine Sarida of the Norwegian Conservative Party. The Conservative Party proposes to triple Norwegian aid to Ukraine next year, from 1.3 billion Norwegian kroner to $4 billion. The funds are to be used to strengthen Ukraine's defense industry. This amount represents 40% of Norway's defense budget for next year. The party believes that the increased support will have a direct impact on the front line and has received assurances from Ukraine regarding weapons production lines that can be quickly expanded. Party leaders assure that Norwegian investment in Ukraine's defense industry could make a real difference on the front line in a short time. Finance spokesperson and deputy party leader Tina Bru emphasizes that the funds will be used abroad so as not to increase pressure on the Norwegian economy and interest rates at home. The Conservatives also envision support for Ukraine's energy sector and the construction of military infrastructure, including shelters for F-16 fighter jets. The final decision on increasing military aid to Ukraine is to be made by the Norwegian government. Previously, on October 31st, it was reported that Norwegian Defense Minister Bjørn Arild Gram announced new military assistance to Ukraine, designed to strengthen the Air Force and Navy. During a visit to the Odessa region, Gram announced that Norway would increase support for the Ukrainian Air Force with an additional contribution, which will be used to purchase weapons and spare parts for F-16s. The renovated Amari Airbase was opened in Estonia, aiming to strengthen NATO's air mission capabilities in the region. This was reported by the press service of NATO's Air Command. It is reported that NATO needs well-equipped and well-maintained air bases to carry out collective deterrence and defense missions. The project was funded by Estonia and Luxembourg. The countries allocated 6.5 and 12 million euros for its implementation, respectively. Its total cost of 18.5 million euros is to be reimbursed from NATO's general fund. After 8 months of runway modernization work, Amari Airbase is once again fully ready to patrol NATO airspace. I congratulate Estonia on this tremendous effort and achievement, said Lieutenant General Torsten Poschwat, commander of NATO's Joint Air Operations Center. The project, which was overseen by the Estonian Defense Investment Center, involved milling and resurfacing approximately 275,000 square meters of runway. In addition, 4 taxiways, the airfield's drainage system, and new markings were updated. Air defense is extremely important on NATO's eastern flank, and I am pleased that with the help of Luxembourg we have been able to significantly improve the quality of Amari Airbase, stated Estonian Defense Minister Hanno Pevkur.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.